it's Carly, and in this video I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free book review of Just Friends by Haley Pham. I am so excited to bring this book review to you guys. I am a huge fan of Haley Pham, and I have been for quite a while. I've been watching her YouTube videos for as long as I can remember, and I've always appreciated that she's had a knack for books, and she herself does great book reviews, so I thought it was only fitting for me to do a book review of her first debut novel, Just Friends. So I grabbed this book off of a Walmart shelf. It was about $15, so not too bad. I also saw it at Target and a bunch of other stores, so it's pretty accessible to get. You don't gotta go to Barnes and Nobles or anything like that. And I read this book while I was on the beach, which is fitting because the setting of the book is in a beachy terrain. Just Friends is a cozy, emotional, second chance romance centered around childhood best friends that are rekindling their relationship after several years. And a big theme throughout this book is second chances and finding yourself after college. So I would definitely recommend this as a light summer read. It's only about 300 pages or so I was able to get through it pretty fast. And for the most part, it was easy breezy when it came to reading. My critique would be that she did add some random words that just in my opinion weren't fitting for the book, especially because most of it was just an easy read, and she would throw in like a huge word and it almost looked like she grabbed a dictionary and like picked the biggest word she could in place of another word. I don't know, that's just what I was getting at. I love a variety of vocabulary used in novels. However, I just think it should be fitting, and in this book it wasn't necessarily fitting when it came to all of her word choices. I would definitely recommend this book for a younger crowd. I think it is great for people in high school, maybe even starting college. But when it comes to an adult read, it's not my favorite. Haley herself has always created family-friendly content for the most part, and when it comes to a romance story, I feel like there's only so much you can say while still keeping it PG and for a family-friendly crowd, and she definitely did that with this book. That being said, when it came to things like physical intimacy, it was very vague and it didn't really go into detail, which I think is nice if you are just starting to get into romance books, but it is not at all a smut book. It is not getting into any sexual tension or energy. I think the storyline itself was unique, but it was lacking some essential plot details. I think she could have made them more dramatic. However, I know it was just supposed to be a little bit of a light read, and for that, I'm saying it's not the most interesting book. I think it doesn't keep your attention for very long, especially if you are looking for action and thrill and excitement. It's very chill. It is not like that, and it's similar to her, I would say. She's also very chill, and that's one of the reasons I like her. However, when I pick up a book personally, I want to be captivated the whole time. In terms of emotions, I think that was 100% there. I loved all of the emotion that she put into this book, and I think her characters were really thought out, and I feel like they did have some good development. She explained some of the history behind them, and she even added in culture, which I love. You know, not all books dive into the culture of a person, just like the nicknames you might call somebody, and hers was centered around Vietnamese culture. And I really did like that because she brought that to life just with some of the details that she added within the book. And although she did add cultural references, it wasn't too in your face, and it wasn't like, okay, this means this means that. It was very just like natural with the book itself and just tied in beautifully. This book really did a great job at showing how one thing can change the whole trajectory of your life, and it's important to not take things for granted because in a blink of an eye, things can change. Now, I would like to bring light to this beautiful cover she's got here. And I was watching one of her videos and she was like, guys, even though it looks like me and Ryan on the front cover, which it absolutely does. This totally looks like her, and this looks like Ryan Trahan if I've ever seen it. They are a married couple and I've been watching them on YouTube for a while. But she said in one of her videos, this is not us, it just happens to look like us.
People ask me if this is Ryan and I on the front. Did not do that intentionally, but the subconscious mind is a strong thing.
And y'all, I can't help but see them. I really cannot help but see them, even though I know their love story is very different than the one told in this book. When it came to her storytelling and sharing details of this scene, it was beautiful. Like, she definitely has a way with words when talking about places. I really enjoyed how she was talking about the place they were living at and what the house looked like, and kind of like explaining the historical vibes of the house, and that made it definitely more believable. But at the same time, not everybody is into the hyper realistic details of, you know, something as simple as a house or a driveway, but she definitely brought those details to light. In my opinion, I think some of those details could have been taken out and replaced with more mature moments between the couple. I also would like to say I'm not a fan of the title. I'm not a fan of the title. For the book itself, remember y'all, I'm not doing any spoilers, but Just Friends, I just think is just a blasé title for a book like this. I think there's a million other routes she could have gone. You know, like maybe coastal love story, or, you know, Little Bird, or just something that is not Just Friends. Just Friends just doesn't sum up this book for me. And I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its title, but if I saw Just Friends written on this, I would not guess the plot at all. And I think it's just a little bit ad blue for this one. So with that being said, no spoilers, but Just Friends did not occur. So my overall thoughts for this book is it was a great lighthearted book. I would suggest it for a younger crowd. I personally would not pick it up again. I just think there's more interesting reads out there. And I was so grateful I was able to pick this up and support her because she has definitely been a big influence in my life. Her videos have always captured my heart and my attention, and you know, I think this book could do the same. So with that being said, I give this book a 2 out of 5 sparkles. I loved the characters and I loved the setting. However, some of the wording and the plot itself really just wasn't that depthful. But overall, I would recommend it for a younger crowd. So that is the end of this book review. I hope you totally enjoyed it. All my social medias are linked in the description below, so check those out, and I'll see y'all in the next video. I love y'all.